Yo, what's up? Moki here. Season 12 has been out for 2 weeks now and of course came with some movement news, tips and tricks. From getting an entirely new movement legend over punch boosting getting removed but still being sort of possible, to established techniques getting a fresh coat of paint thanks to control. Since you enjoyed the last one, this is another entry into my new series of movement update news kind of video. The video is again split into chapters if you're just here for one specific thing. And while this video will bring you up to date on movement, what if you want to update yourself in terms of aiming? Then today's sponsor, Kovacs, is the perfect answer. Apex Legends and other battle royales are notorious for their downtime in between gunfights. Solely relying on the time in Apex to improve your aim is highly inefficient. Just spending 15 minutes a day warming up your aim in the Kovacs aim trainer before you jump into the game can do wonders. I'm currently doing a month-long, highly focused training routine and will be sharing my experience in a dedicated video about it. Because as much as I rave about movement and having fun with it, it's only secondary to aiming if you actually want to win your engagements. There are already very easy to use Apex and other game playlists in Kovacs, but you can get as detailed and custom as you want with your training. Get Kovacs today with my link in the description and become the best aimer you can be. Let's jump onto the first movement topic. Tap-Strafing not being removed in Season 12. In the Control Mode stream event that happened on February 4th, Tap-Strafing was heavily nerfed, so we all assumed this was a change intended for Season 12. Well, it wasn't. It wasn't changed whatsoever. That doesn't mean the Tap-Strafing will stay untouched though. Respawn still very much intends to nerf it in the future. The Control event apparently was just a test to get feedback on this specific way of changing it. I think they could have done a feedback round like this in a much better and clearer communicated way. And I hope to somehow get to influence how it's actually changed. For now, enjoy it while you can. What we can't enjoy anymore is punch boosting. It was officially removed with the release of Season 12. Or at least what most people know as punch boosting, which is punching the ground down a long slope to gain more and more speed, which is reflected by the patch notes. Fixed for cases where players were able to use melee on inclined surfaces to get speed boosts while sliding. But there was a different kind of punch boosting of objects and walls, which probably used the same underlying melee interaction like punch boosting of slopes. There are tricks to still do this kind of punch boosting. I already covered the first one on my clip channel. For that you jump, melee a wall and then crouch. This will send you backwards off the wall or even very steep slopes. But there is a second method. Hold a sideways input, melee a wall and crouch in the perfect moment. The timing for that crouch is pretty easy though. After 5 minutes of practice in the fire range, you should be able to get it down. I punch first and then hold a sideways input and crouch. But it doesn't matter if you input the sideways movement before or after the punch. The timing of the crouch is important. I still like the first jump method more. There is no backwards input required while doing either, but it's likely not a bad idea to hold it anyways. And here I want to clarify some things about this new method of punch boosting. At its core, it's just a jump slide, where you walk, jump, hold crouch and then get a boosted slide. This new method of punch boosting is just a different way to trigger that. But there are some additional benefits. You can do it out of a complete standstill. Then the acceleration is a lot quicker and you also get about 20 more velocity than a very quick jump slide. Editing Moki here. While writing the script, the highest velocity difference I got was 20, but then I messed around a bit more and got this 100 velocity increase. So it's safe to say that punch boosting off walls is definitely worth it. It can also still work out of a fall to cancel the fall stun, and in some cases even propel you away from the wall really far. So no, you can't punch boost down slopes anymore, but please keep punching walls. In the worst case, you just look cool. And in the best case, you convert a fall into some very fast sideways movement. While talking about punch boosting, I want to talk about other issues with movement this season. Jump pads are bugged. Sometimes they just won't activate at all. You can slide or walk over them and nothing will happen. For me this seems to be the case in about 1 in 30 jump pads. But when it does happen, it's super frustrating. I really hope they get a fix out for this as soon as possible. I also have to mention the issue of heirlooms slowing down your acceleration on ziplines. This is also a problem with weapons released after Season 8, so the 30-30 repeater, bow, rampage and car. This has been an issue for a while now, it's just still a thing in Season 12. And then there's the issue with movement this season in general. I have seen a lot of people claiming that movement got shadow nerfed. Whether that's air strafing, the general sprint acceleration, grappling, super gliding or more dead slides. I hear from different perspectives that all these things feel more sluggish. I have to agree on that. But I'm not sure if that's because the actual mechanics got shadow nerfed or the servers are just performing worse this season. From Titanfall 2 I know that bad server connections can literally steal momentum from you and mess with grappling and air strafing. And in this season of Apex I'm experiencing a lot more no-regs and stuttering or random FPS drops. So I want to do a deeper investigation into comparing actual acceleration values of pre-Season 12 and now, which I will make a video on in the next days. So consider subscribing to not miss that or any other movement developments in Apex. Till then, I can only say, I feel like there's something wrong with movement this season. I just want to confirm what's the reason for that before widely speculating. Maggie. We have seen some interesting interactions with Maggie's ultimate. It seems that if you clip it through a wall while throwing it, it will bug out a bit and go much further than usual. It getting triggered by clipping through a wall is only a theory though. I haven't seen more clips of this happening yet. Another way to have it go much further is to roll it onto a jump pad. For that, aim the target indicator right in the middle of the pad. Then I have to point out that the bounce you get of getting hit by the ultimate can be combined with other momentum. So wall bouncing or grappling into a Maggie ult can totally yeet you. If you're good enough, you might want to use this knowledge to escape from a Maggie ult. But the most interesting movement thing we have seen with it yet is that you can grapple her ultimate. This seems to be fairly unreliable though. I did some extensive testing and there are two factors that make it inconsistent. First, the grappable hitbox is much smaller than the ball itself. The best theory I've seen so far is that it's the size of the canister her ult is stored in, even when it's in ball form. And the second thing is that often the grapple connects but then rips before it can start pulling you. I wanted to grapple her ultimate while it's going over a jump pad, but with how inconsistent it is, this will either take a stupid amount of effort or getting really lucky. So since that doesn't work, I just relied on another method to extend my grapple range. Grappling Crypto's drone, which leads us into using established movement techniques in control. Grappling Crypto's drone has been a thing since Crypto came out, and I used it for an entire video about doing the same thing in arenas. There it only had limited practical use, since splitting from your team like that in a lane-based 3 vs 3 is highly uncompetitive. But since control is a lot more casual, the maps are way more open, there are other teammates around, and you can catch 1 or 2 enemies by themselves, it makes for a much better playground for Crypto slingshots. I don't think this needs any adjustment. Right now it's more likely that someone will spawn right next to you and shoot you in the back, rather than you getting dunked on by a Crypto drone grappling Pathfinder nerd. And you can do a very similar thing with tridents. Boosting with a trident in the correct moment and jumping out right after will fling you across the map. If you are Horizon, you can then land in a slide and slither towards your enemy. Another Pathfinder trick is to put a zipline up the chimney of the PS5 building and slide down into this half pipe. In general, there are some really neat movement tricks around this building. You can climb this tree to get access to the roof. For that, climb into this branch fork and then carry the climb momentum onto the roof with a jump. But what I'm most excited about is this door. Wall bouncing off it while opening or closing gives you extra momentum. The best methods I found so far are to open it while wall bounce Tap-Strafing off it, or closing it while coming down the stairs to wall bounce chase someone running away from you. It is advised that you're an experienced wall bouncer and can be precise with it. Sadly, I've not managed to get a good clip against enemies so far, but I would love to see one. So get on it and share the results with us in the Apex Rollout subreddit. In the same vein, I also want to call attention to movement stuff in Olympus in general, which we now have back after it was gone last season. You can slide down these half pipes with Horizon out of the dropship for some really big bounces. And I recently learned that you can use jump fatigue wall bounces to get over the roof of these buildings in Olympus. For that you want to jump before reaching the wall, land, jump onto the wall and jump off the wall. And then use a sideways plus forward input to lurch onto the roof. I actually never covered jump fatigue as a mechanic and how to use it for wall bounces, but I plan to do that in the future. Meanwhile, you can watch this tutorial from TreeRee that is linked in the description. Jump fatigue wall bounces, or how many like to call them infinite wall bounces, are incredibly useful, and if you haven't heard of them yet, I highly recommend checking out that tutorial. And that's it for today. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!